Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something fascinating and honestly very timely. It's this mix of celebrity, mental health, and just the, intense pressure of living in the public eye. We're focusing on global pop star Justin Bieber, specifically some really candid posts and actions he's taken recently. And just so you know where we're coming from, our sources today are mainly excerpts from a globalnews.ca article. It's titled Justin Bieber Addresses Anger Issues in Candid Post on Feeling Broken. And we're also looking at the social media posts and screenshots mentioned in that article. Okay, so our goal here, our mission for this deep dive, is to unpack these really raw moments. We want to try and understand the context behind his public frustrations and maybe explore what his experience tells us about, well, privacy, emotional honesty, and fame. Sound good? Okay, let's unpack this. So let's start with what really kicked off a lot of this conversation. It was an Instagram post where Justin Bieber got incredibly vulnerable. Yeah, he shared this with his, 294 million followers. He said, "People keep telling me to heal. Don't you think if I could have fixed myself, I would have already?"
Wow, that's pretty direct.
It really is. And he went on, he wrote, "I know I'm broken. I know I have anger issues."
Mm.
And this part really stood out to me. He said, trying to be like the people who told me I needed to be fixed like them just made him more tired and more angry.
Mm.
He even mentioned Jesus being the one keeping him focused on others, saying he was exhausted with thinking about myself lately.
Well, what's fascinating there, I think, is how he's pushing back against this whole idea of a quick fix for, really complex emotional stuff.
Right.
It makes you ask, when we tell someone, especially someone famous, to just heal, what are we really doing? Is it support or is it like pressure?
Pressure to perform recovery.
Exactly. Perform wellness. His comment about trying to be like others who told him he needed fixing,
Yeah.
that suggests just profound exhaustion with all these external expectations.
Yeah, I can see that. The weight of it.
Especially when millions are watching and telling you how you should be healing.
Absolutely. And, well, it didn't stop there. This is where it gets maybe even more interesting or maybe more complicated. He then took a private conversation, totally public, shared screenshots of texts where he ended a friendship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. In the texts, he told the person, "I will never suppress my emotions for someone and that conflict is a part of relationship." Pretty clear boundaries.
Very clear.
And he was blunt, said, "If you don't like my anger, you don't like me. My anger is a response to pain I have been through." That's a direct quote, misspelling included.
Powerful statement.
And then this line, "Asking a traumatized person not to be traumatized is simply mean."
That really hits hard.
It does. The other person replied something like, "I'm not used to someone lashing out at me." And Bieber's response was immediate. "Ouch. This friendship is officially over. I will never accept a man calling my anger lashing out."
So he's defining lashing out versus expressing anger from pain.
Seems like it. He finished by saying he had good friends who will respect these boundaries.
Putting that private exchange out there publicly, it's a really significant move for someone like him.
Yeah. How so?
Well, it basically turns a personal boundary setting into this, public declaration. It highlights how tough it must be for celebrities to keep anything private or to have truly authentic relationships.
Because the lines are so blurred.
Exactly. The digital age just smashes those lines.
Hmm?
So maybe he felt he had to articulate his boundaries, even his raw feelings, in front of everyone.
Like taking control of the narrative almost.
Perhaps. And that statement, "If you can't accept my anger expression, you can't accept me," it's not just personal. It challenges how we expect public figures to manage, all their emotions, especially anger linked to trauma.
Right. It's not the neat, tidy image we often expect.
Not at all.
And he kept going. On Instagram stories, his message sort of shifted. It went from expressing his own struggle to directly challenging people's concern. He wrote, "Quit asking me if I'm okay, and quit asking me how I'm doing." He added, "I don't do that to you because I know how life is for all of us. It's hard." And then this kicker, "Your concern doesn't come off as care. It's just oppressive weirdo."
Wow. Oppressive weirdo. That's appointed.
Very.
That sounds like a classic example of, the downside of parasocial relationships, where fans feel this closeness, this intimacy that isn't really reciprocal.
Yeah, like they know him personally.
Right. And for him, maybe that flood of concern just feels like more noise, more intrusion, like another demand on him emotionally.
Instead of actual care.
Precisely. It's like a plea for autonomy,
Oh.
Let me handle my own emotional space. It shows that huge gap between a celebrity's reality and how the public engages which can sometimes be, well, kind of voyeuristic.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially the sheer volume he must deal with.
Absolutely. Even well-meaning questions multiplied by thousands or millions could feel crushing.
And all this online stuff, these statements, they came right after a very visible real-world incident. A video popped up showing him in a confrontation with photographers. This was June 12th. Ah, okay.
Yeah, he's seen telling them pretty forcefully, "Get out of my face and stop provoking me." He actually predicts it in the moment, saying they'd take the video out of context and spin it like he was just mad.
He called it?
He did. He kept going, "I don't know who the F is paying you to provoke me, but I'm not the effing one." Pretty intense language.
Yeah.
Then someone responds something like, "But we're on the sidewalk, Justin."
Ah, the classic public space argument.
Exactly. And Bieber shoots back, "I don't give a fly that you're on the sidewalk. I'm a human fiffing being. I'm a real dad, a real husband, a real man, so don't fiffing do this, Cheney."
That line, "I'm a human being," that really cuts through, doesn't it?
It really does. Humanizes the whole thing instantly.
Yeah. It's like stooping away the pop star label for a second.
Totally. And then later, he kind of doubled down online, posted a selfie with the middle finger emoji, captioned, "I'm a dad that's not to be fiffed with."
Okay.
And he used the same emoji in a post with his wife, Haley, and their son, Jack Blues Bieber, at a keyboard. So the confrontation itself, it's just this raw display of that pressure we've been talking about, that feeling of being constantly invaded.
Right. The provocation he mentioned.
Yeah. And his declaration about being a real dad, a real husband, a real man, it's powerful. It's him demanding dignity, demanding personal space, even though he lives in the public eye.
And the emoji.
Well, it's provocative, obviously, but it's also a really clear, nonverbal back off, a hard boundary marker. You know, it makes you think, what does it actually take for someone in his position to feel heard or just left alone?
Good question. And looking back, this isn't really new territory for him, is it? This kind of lashing out or pushing back.
No, not at all. It seems like part of a pattern, unfortunately.
Like back in April, he pleaded with paparazzi to stop swarming him. He even shared a video from his phone, like showing his point of view.
Ah, yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
To show fans what it's really like day to day.
Exactly. And he admitted then he asked God for patience because it can be really hard to not rip these effing guys' heads off. Again, very raw language.
Understandably raw, maybe, given the circumstances he describes.
He also talked about forgiveness then, forgiving himself for my own selfishness and forgiving those who seek to use and abuse me because they want to capitalize off of me, or their jealousy makes them want to make me feel small.
That's quite reflective, amidst the frustration.
Yeah, and he was clear. I'm no victim. But then, and this part was really striking, he talked about moving to LA, knowing it's F-Ed out here.
Okay.
And he basically asked, can we as a unit align with how Fed it is out here and change this F, or are we going to let these F-boys keep treating me like F? He called for changing laws, mentioning people have died because of this stuff.
Right.
And then he brings up Princess Diana. Princess Diana is the first that comes to mind, so shake my head.
Yeah. Bringing up Princess Diana, that elevates it significantly.
Doesn't it? He finished saying, we got to do better. Please, can we make a change?
Yeah, connecting his personal struggle to Diana, that makes it a much bigger societal issue he's pointing to.
Yeah.
It's not just his problem anymore.
Right. It's about the whole system.
Exactly. It forces us to think about the ethics, or lack thereof, when media intrusion isn't checked. He's basically calling for systemic change, not just asking people to leave him alone.
It poses that question, doesn't it? How do we, as a society, as media consumers, balance public curiosity with someone's basic right to peace, to safety?
Especially for someone who's been famous since they were, what, a kid?
Yeah.
His plea, referencing Diana, it's a really stark reminder of the potential, fatal consequences.
Yeah.
It pushes us to rethink those ethical lines in public life. It's way beyond just celebrity anger.
Absolutely. So when we step back and look at this whole deep dive into Justin Bieber's recent stuff, it's so much more than just like celebrity gossip or drama.
Oh, for sure.
It's a really raw look at mental health, setting boundaries, the insane pressures of fame, and just the basic human need to express pain and say stop, even when your life is completely under a microscope.
Yeah. We're seeing someone grapple very publicly with all these expectations, his own past trauma, the constant invasion, while trying to figure out what healthy relationships and self-acceptance even mean for him.
In this incredibly public arena.
Right. And his journey, put out there like this, it kind of invites us, doesn't it, to think about our own role as observers, as people consuming media. How do we react when someone, famous or not, expresses anger or pain? What's real support versus, well, just more intrusion?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Which leads us to a final thought, maybe something for you, our listener, to chew on. In a world that loves talking about authenticity but often judges vulnerability pretty harshly or demands a quick fix, how do we actually create spaces, online and offline, where people feel safe to express their true selves, even the struggles, the anger, the broken parts? Spaces where that vulnerability is met with hopefully some understanding and respect instead of just judgment or demands to heal or accusations of lashing out. Something to think about.